Court will come to order. It is Monday, July the 31st, 2023, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the Kerr County Court is now in session in the regular Commissioners Court meeting. If you would, please stand for the prayer and the pledge which I will read. Pray with me. Good and gracious God, thanks for all of our many blessings and our opportunity to serve your people. We pray for wisdom and discernment as we struggle with the challenges of Kerr County. May we serve with compassion and mercy. Fill us with your Holy Spirit that we may do your will and forgive us when we fail. In your holy name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay. We're going to do the Commissioners Court meeting first, and then take a short break. We'll do an executive session to talk about some legal matters. Take a short break and then go into the workshop. So, on the consideration agenda, the first item is 1.1. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the proposed salary increases for elected county and precinct officials for Kerr County fiscal year 23-24 and authorize the county clerk to publish them on August 16, 2023. Ms. Shelton.
Worksheet that we received today from HR. We have not had time to completely review it. And I don't know if you want to pass it based on our review. This is showing the 5% increase for the wage adjustment and additional monies if they've been discussed about so far.
So really this is the latest and greatest, subject to review and correction.
Yes.
So, repeat that last part that you said, Tanya, please. This is with the COLA.
This is with, yes, the wage adjustment.
And anything else?
And the special requests that have been sent in. So there was, the treasurer's office had, I think, a 5% increase on there on the special requests that we've discussed. And then this, the sheriff's is one of the ones I'm looking at. I think that was done a little bit differently. I don't think it's going to be quite that high. So I expect his to be less than what's showing on this list.
For, in the treasurer office, which position? Hers?
It is her position.
This is for elected officials.
This
Right.
is elected officials
Okay.
only.
All right.
What happens is we have to give notice to the elected officials on what their pay is going to be for the next year. They then have, I believe it is, 5 days in order to file a grievance if for some reason they don't like their salary or think it's being turned in incorrectly done, whatever the word would be. And then y'all have 10 days to do a grievance committee, at which time it will be looked over and any changes to be discussed. And somewhere in all this time, we have to get it in the newspaper also so that everyone knows what the elected officials will be paid.
And that's August 16th, right?
That's the date we're looking on in order to hit the timeline. It has to be done, I think it's within 10 days of the budget hearing.
And so what we really need to do is get you and Mr. Hernandez together, fine tune these numbers.
Yes.
Basically what we need.
Yes.
Okay. So we can approve that subject to your recommendations on the revisions?
You can. I mean, if you want to have another meeting between now and approve it once we've looked at it, I think when Jody and I looked at it, it would probably be the 7th of August. Might be the best date.
And I'm not sure because when we talked about August 16th as publishing in the newspaper, it took into account the 5 days, the 10 days for a grievance committee. That I think is the last day we could, because I want to say it's got to be 10 days before August 28th that it goes into the newspaper.
Well, here's my question. This is the proposed schedule. And anybody that wants to file a grievance is gonna be operating off of this document right here. Is that correct?
Yes,
And if we make any revisions, you're going to distribute any corrections or revisions to this, so they'll know what the actual salaries are, so they can protect whatever rights they want to exercise.
yes.
And we have to afford them adequate time to be able to review that and compare, make sure it's all okay.
Yes.
So, do we go ahead and begin the process to say, this is preliminarily approved by the court, so that they know where we're starting, you know where you're beginning, and we can keep the motion going, we keep the process going, so that by the time we get to August 7th, we're ready to finalize things.
It'd be August the 14th, we're ready to
14th?
finalize.
And then we publish it in the paper on the 16th.
So,
So do we do anything today is the question.
We need your tentative approval, I think, is what's on the agenda.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll move that we tentatively approve the proposed salary schedule for elected officials as presented, subject to revision.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah. You know, I understand the sheriff's position with the salary adjustment we made there, but as I said last year, I'm not for raises for elected officials other than the COLA. We know what we ran for, what it was gonna be, and that's just me. I know not everybody agreed with me last year, but that's my 2 cents.
Any comments?
Well, I haven't taken that the last 3 times because, well, you know, if we have more money in the budget for people that are county employees, it's better for everybody. I agree with Don. You run for elected office knowing what the pay is, and I didn't come in here to get raises and make money, so. I know it's a career for others, but we are elected officials. Makes it a little different.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is not approved. 3-2.
So what does that mean? Because we need, so is that the motion was accepted or not for tentative, and the motion got turned down, so do we go back to last year's salary, or do we include the wage increase? We need instruction from y'all.
I'll make a motion to approve this minus the raise for the treasurer's office,
You're saying a 5% raise.
just the COLA.
I don't even like that, but
You have to do that though if you're going to do it for the other employees.
I get it, but I'm not gonna take it.
To be honest, I don't follow the conversation about the treasurer.
I don't know. Probably had one, but.
I remember last year.
What is the issue with the
Oh, I know the reason. I do remember. It's because she took over payroll, which was when she ran for office. That was not part of her job.
Right.
She did not request this year. It was put in by someone else.
That's even weird.
The salary fairy. Okay.
I mean, I think I don't have a problem with an increase. How much of the increase in the treasurer's salary is the 5% COLA?
It's a wage adjustment.
Sorry, wage adjustment.
It would end up being, I don't know the answer to that. Rosa, do you know?
Just the increase for the COLA?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have it
it's
calculated, but
10%,
it's on the-
half of this.
It's probably about half of it roughly.
Right.
Well, we already talked about revising the figures, bringing it back. We can do that, and then we can deal with this later.
So then
So nobody
revise
gets
it
it.
showing the 5% and slow down the process and let y'all look at it again with another meeting on the 7th of August.
Unless before the end of
Is
this
this-
meeting
is
you
this
can give us a
for
figure.
Yeah,
Let's get it clarified.
Yeah.
and that was my motion.
Well, I think I made the motion for tentative approval as presented, subject to
Right.
condition. And that's
Which
what-
failed.
that got voted down. So now,
My motion was just for the COLA only, and no wage adjustment for the treasurer. Although we had to do it with the sheriff because of that salary adjustment up there, but
My
go ahead.
calculations, he has added the COLA to return salary to be 77,489. So about 4,000 of it is an increase
Because of new
in
technology.
additional responsibilities.
And county attorney's saying we have to give everybody a 5%
Right.
raise, including electeds, in order to give employees a 5%.
Yes.
yes,
That's the law.
If you're going to give it to all of the employees, you cannot exclude the elected officials.
I just don't need the top.
you can't discriminate in the class.
And if,
Well, that's gonna happen with the sheriff.
I know.
So,
Well, the
where do you
sheriff,
stand on
we
that?
passed a court order last meeting on, for the sheriff. That was dealt with. on
That,
last
that
meeting.
departs from this rule that the county attorney's talking
No, that's
No.
if you give an across the board adjustment,
about. They're getting a COLA plus, that's the difference.
they're getting a COLA plus, but that is,
How is that not discriminatory?
from what I understand, it is for retention, for those
I mean, I know
departments.
that, but I'm
Okay.
asking you a legal point, because I don't understand that.
The issue about distinguishing the elected officials from the rest of the county employees is the one that we have talked about in the past, where if the elected officials want to forego any increase they're given, they are welcome to do that. But the commissioner's court cannot say, we give it to all of the employees, but the elected officials do not get the increase.
But that was not my question.
So what was your
My
question?
was, if we give a 5% increase across the board plus, why is that not discriminatory? And that's a legal question, I don't understand the answer to.
I think
I don't think that I've had to answer that before, but I don't see any problem with giving a plus for retention for departments who are not even competitive as they sit now,
I
like
understand
CDL
that.
holders and law enforcement.
But I'm trying to
Oh,
wrap
the
my
sheriff's
mind-
policy?
Man,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
policy.
sorry, I'm sorry, I wasn't even thinking about the right thing then. The sheriff's $5,000 more than the next person below him?
No,
Okay, then I don't even know what you're
the
asking.
additional pay for sheriff's department employees above the COLA.
that was a step grade adjustment. That's just like adjusting, that is not a market adjustment.
Compression.
It was not a market adjustment,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Right, it was not a market adjustment, or sometimes referred to as COLA, but we don't, it's not supposed to be referred to as COLA anymore, because it really isn't.
Well, I think it's important for taxpayers to understand why we're saying that everybody has to get one, and then the sheriff's department gets more, which I've not said I'm opposed to. But everybody should understand what it is we're talking about, so that it's clear.
I think we already crossed that bridge, I thought, for recruitment and retention, where we be competitive in the market.
I understand.
I agree. I'm okay with that.
And it's the same thing with road and bridge. I mean, everybody else is stealing all our players, and we don't have anybody. You know?
I get why we're doing it,
Mhm.
and I am not opposed to it. But if we're told that we have to give all the electeds a pay raise in order to give the employees a pay raise, and that's for equity's sake, and now we're told that we have to give every employee, which includes sheriff's department,
It's the other way around.
plus, then I'm just wondering why that's not discriminatory too.
Because it's just for the sheriff, it's not only we're designating certain positions, and we're increasing.
I understand what's happening and why. I'm asking a
But it's
question
not
about the
going-
legality of it, why that's not considered discriminatory as well.
It's not.
We got two lawyers in the room, neither one of them's answering.
I can tell you, I don't think that there's any prohibition from giving the sheriff's department or the sheriff more than you give another elected official. But there is a legal prohibition against giving all of the employees an increase and not including your elected officials or directors.
So the answer is really that one is prohibited, the other is not. Is that the answer?
I think that's part of the answer. If you would like for me to look to see if it's otherwise been answered, I'm
Let me weigh
glad
in.
to do that.
Allow me to wait. I haven't been asked a question. But I sat in the blue seats for 2 years, and this is my 5th year up here. And I recall that there's an Attorney General opinion that says that if we're going to give wage colas or wage adjustment, whatever we call it, to employees, it has to include the elected officials. That was the problem. They weren't including elected officials. They went to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General said you can't do it that way. So that's why everybody in mass is included in any wage adjustment or COLA determination.
We go through this every year.
Yeah, same thing.
Some years they get it, some years they don't.
Now, the road and bridge and sheriff, those are extenuating circumstances due to current market conditions.
That's
something
retention.
completely different.
Right.
As a retention, recruit and retention policy.
Okay.
But back to this. We're going to tentatively approve this for everybody except the treasurer, put the treasurer in at a 5% wage adjustment. Is that the motion?
Total, yes.
Cool. Well, wage adjustment.
Okay. Whatever. But I never got a second.
Second.
I'm asking for it. A second. Discussion.
So, what I understand the motion, so we're going to do our last year's salary and add 5%.
Yeah. Those are, that's what the number is.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 1.2 on our consideration today. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the base salaries for elected officials for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Hernandez.
Good afternoon. So this is actually for any new elected official, whenever they come in, this is gonna be their base salary, to start. And what is generally historically has been done is that you take what's in the FY 22-23, the previous year, you add just the 5%, whatever percentage you get, that you all are giving, and you add it to what's gonna be for the 23-24. And that's what these figures are.
And what are we going to do with this?
This is just for you to approve in case something happens to an elected official. And so like for Mr. Paces, whenever he came in, he was under 2.
Yeah.
So that is the salary he got, but his was prorated because of the time that he was here.
It was prorated. It's the same rate as everybody else gets.
Right, so this is what this determines, and we have to have this approved in order for you guys to,
So this is an
help
HR
them
policy, base
Yes.
salary for elected officials.
newly elected
Newly
officials.
elected officials.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the elected official base salary schedule as presented. Any discussion? Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's take a short break. We need to have a brief executive session with regard to the status of litigation. And we will reconvene shortly. I'll be back in 10 minutes. come back to order. It's 2:43. We come out of executive session. We begin the final budget workshop for the FY 23-24 budget. How do we want to start this, Sandy? You want to address Fund 77? Going through these, or what do you want to do?
Either way, we can start with the new Commissioners Court as we've revised it based on the workshops we've already had.
Okay.
Are we out of regular session?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're workshopping. I did say you.
Just one,
You're adjourned.
yes. Okay, if you'll turn to the summary that you have before you, the numbers look better.
Better than what?
I'm sorry.
That's bad joke, better than
they
what?
were. So you'll see at the bottom of the schedule, the fund balance, the percent of expenditures in fund balance is 19.61. And looking at this, now, let me read off to you what all has been done. And so here's when you can say, no, that's not what we meant, or whatever. But basically, since that time, the IT projects were moved to debt, and we'll discuss what that looks like in just a little bit. Payroll contingency was increased by $250,000 due to the effect of starting positions at step 1 instead of step 3. This is based on the current open positions and new hires, I believe, positions coming in.
I never said that transpose, starting at step 2 means.
Oh, starting at step 3 instead of step 1. Thank y'all. The PDO office transfer has been increased by $110,000. That's our contribution toward the grant this year, the grant match. That goes to Medina County. The emergency responder incentives, and again, we'll talk about these in just a little bit. We've got ARPA. We've got basically $1,025,000 going into the ARPA grant and $500,000 to be paid from Senate Bill 22. In this, we've also, this was just a division. We separated holiday pay and overtime pay, but then we also added an extra $75,000 for overtime pay because of the eclipse. For fire protection, each volunteer fire department was increased by 10%. The boat that was requested was moved to the debt. Road and Bridge, the CDL incentives were moved to the ARPA grant. Eagle Ridge Road, that project of 130 was added to the budget. We moved the capital outlay request for the entire 11 items to debt. We added an additional $30,000 of overtime for the eclipse. Flood control, we took out the $1 million that we said we would try to do it if we received a grant, so we took out that expense. We also decreased the flood warning system by $95,000 to account for, I believe it was $4,750 would be our match for Kendall County. So in ARPA, we increased by the incentives. And then we also made a decrease of about $1.3 million in what was shown prior because we don't have any project connected with those dollars. And again, we have until December of 2024 to obligate those. We are checking to see if we can use the same incentives that we've used this year and pay for the second year also included in that. In Fund 50, indigent services was increased by $65,000, and that was per the HR director's request. And so that's the basic changes that we've done. The note, we've used the payment of 7 years for the payback period. However, we did ensure that the IT and the boat would be paid back in a 3-year period, and then the road and bridge equipment, the 5-year equipment would be paid back in 5 years, and the remainder of the equipment, of course, would be in 7 years, even though some of that equipment hopefully will last longer.
Is the debt listed as the 2023 limited tax bonds? So-
It is the one that's underneath that. It's included the 2021 and the 2023 tax
Tax
note.
note.
550,000 of this 910 listed is for that new note. So you've got a schedule, is it under
Capital
notes?
outlay.
Under capital outlay, you'll see the note example. So we did 6 different scenarios trying to look for it as was requested. And this is from RBC Capital Markets after talking to Dusty. The interest rate used was between 4.25% and 4.5%. And he did say that it would be, the cost of issuance is about $65,000, and adding another year of road and bridge equipment, we would be paying more interest than we would the cost of issuing like next year for the same road and bridge equipment if we had to. Are y'all finding it okay?
Mhm.
And so the scenario we used was number 4 down there. In the bottom left-hand corner. On your capital outlay request that was initially given to y'all, we've updated that also, and it shows whether we're gonna purchase it, lease it, or use debt.
And this is purchasing all of the equipment that Road and Bridge requested.
All of the equipment. You can see this individually if you want to look. In your tab 65, you will see this section, I believe, hopefully we got that rerun. If we didn't, we may need to rerun that one, that shows the 2023 tax note added in. But it's the same principal and interest that's shown here. The expenditures were added to Fund 16 on your capital projects. That wasn't on the list.
And for Sheriff, you mentioned to me last week that one of your car reader system, one of your systems broke.
Actually, me and, Bruce had a meeting this morning. I was gonna email you that. I have 3 bids. I didn't realize we didn't come to an answer on the other thing. We have 3 different bids. What I have right now is I have a,
Will you explain, I don't know, does the whole court know what failed?
No.
okay.
What happened?
So what we have, is part of the annex security, and I understand this was all in the bond election, which didn't happen, but now I have to deal with it. So part of the annex security is not working. Part of the security here is not working and needs to be replaced. Now, as of last week, Friday, now those 2 are with Guardian. Okay. Now, CML is our And when the sheriff, I guess, whenever they did the jail expansion, for some reason that contractor decided to use a different vendor. That's why I have so many monitors. So we basically have two systems, okay? They're both starting to fail. So as of Friday, my system failed over there at the sheriff's office, which we won't get a lot of detail, but what I can tell you still works. Everything's still operable. But what happens is we cannot change any codes. We can't add any cards like the new magistrate y'all just added. I can't give her a card. We got to let her in and out until further notice. Got a bid here. That one's like 22-something thousand. One of these is 23,000. One's 33,000. About 75,000. So talk to Bruce. We got a guy coming in, but I highly suggest we got to address this. We got to get it fixed. We got to get it fixed here. And some of it's kind of a patch. I know how we feel about patches, but whether we patch it or we redo it completely, we need to get it fixed as soon as possible.
And this is something that we knew was gonna fail, right, with the bond that you didn't pass, so we gotta fix this.
Right, we would have been in really good shape. We'd revamped everything, and now we, like I've always told you, we got files, we got cards, we got keys, we got. I mean,
Yeah.
Does that show up? Is that in the
I don't think it's in here, is it?
It's not?
It's not in there. Are you thinking we'll use contingency this year if it needs to be
Well,
immediate?
That's what I would say.
I mean, I don't know, I just wanna make sure that it gets fixed, so we have money somewhere to
It's,
repair. And I hate patching it and kinda halfway doing it, but we gotta have a system that works.
So the repair, Larry, is 22,000, or is that?
that's for one company.
One.
Yeah, so we have two Guardian, I say bids, or to fix what we have, and then I got CML. The $22,000 is to fix at the sheriff's office, mainly for our side, the card reader, to get a new card reader, new software, so where we can go in and change our codes and we can make IDs so people can get in and out of the building. Like I said, if we already have one, we're good. But like I said, the judge, we can't make any new ones. And it doesn't happen often, but obviously we like to be able to change our codes and employees change, or we like to make new cards for people that want to come in and out.
Is there, we can, so for 35,000, we can fix all of these and using contingency in this year's budget?
Yes, sir. Yes, they're coming down just to verify that. But right now, what I'm being told, the Guardian's coming down hopefully this week, right? To see, but that should fix everything pretty well. Also, that will give us the capability to expand to the PDO and Ingram if things have worked out. So I'm pretty comfortable we'd be in really good shape. But I want to hear one more time from Guardian.
What kind of dollars are we looking at to expand to the PDO building in Ingram?
That's part of.
That's why he's
Oh.
coming. Give me that. Now, this is what we got today. But I'd be able to give you, hey, you want to plan for the PDO, you want to plan for Ingram, we'll have those numbers.
Okay.
So if we fix all of it, I heard two figures, 22,000, 75,000 for commissioner. Are we talking about those together, or?
The three different ones, let's say the one I call for KCSO Annex, let me look at that one there. KCO Annex. Now this is fixed, what we have today is 22,845.
That's a fixed job?
Yes, the KCO, the Annex over there where probation everybody's at.
Is that gonna continue to be supported, Bruce? Because that's the real issue. Are we buying something?
That is
that's not
the
gonna
issue.
support?
That is the issue.
Okay,
This is
so-
a patch to fix it
So do
all.
we need to spend $22,000 like immediately so we can spend 75,000 tomorrow? Is that what you're telling us?
I will get further clarification when the vendor comes through this week.
It'd be better to spend it all at once.
I agree.
And what is the time? I mean, because you can order it, that doesn't mean you get it today. So what are we really looking at?
Yep. We'll have to find all that out.
That was not a yes answer. I'm asking a question.
I don't know the answer.
So, yeah, so what I can tell you, that $22,000 for the annex is great, but to make that happen, we gotta put the brains here, which is 33,667. So this has to be fixed here to be able to fix this one, Guardian.
Now you're up to about 120, what is
No,
that?
no,
no.
No, these are the three figures, the one,
Okay.
you should have that too. And then the 22,000, I'm saying all three together, I'm
Okay.
saying it's about 6. And then this other one is kind of standalone company. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if they're all three the same. But this is a standalone company and it's 22,000, so we have
Fixed.
problems in each.
How much more would it cost to get the same company on that?
That's why he's
That's
coming
what
this
we're
week.
doing.
And I'm planning to have a plan for you for the 14th.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps as far as our funds or which plan I'm doing.
Yeah, and Tanya, we probably can find the money in this year's budget for all that.
I'll have to look, but I'll know by the 14th or as soon as I get the dollar amount.
Good.
Can we know by then also if when it can be installed, or?
Yeah, I'm sure Guardian will tell them, I mean, we're one of their biggest customers, we can kind of tell them what we want to fix. You know, it's just about when they get the parts, which I think they're available.
So until then, Bruce, can we stay afloat?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Everything's still operating, it's just no adding to it.
Okay. Sorry to
Thank you.
bring that up. But
No, it's
Yeah.
good. Well, we've got a cross. We don't have an agenda, so we can talk about it.
Any questions on the debt? Any changes? Any thoughts?
And I guess it's not a question on the debt, but on the revenue, tax revenue. How confident are we on that?
So this was
Numbers.
ran using the certified values, and so these are the dollar amounts that we're expecting from the no new revenue rate. I do not have rates right now, and Bob will bring those on the 14th and give you the no new revenue rate, the variable rate, voter approval rate, and then the M&O rate and the debt service rate. And lateral roads also is in there.
But I mean, when I look at the big picture, the general fund looks okay. But on the total, we're pretty low. The 19.61%.
So if,
Can
to
you
your
address this?
point, is that, I have a schedule, if that's okay. I don't think we
Before we
included
get into
it
that
with
schedule,
y'all.
I think it's important that we understand what we're doing with the fund balance. We had very good interest rates on our bonds because we had had very good fund balance over the past 4 years. We're spending here. If you look at the summary, that first one, you go over to that first column over there, you can see what the estimated reserve balance is at the end of this fiscal year, $16 million. And then if you go over to the last column where it has the estimated ending reserve balance, 1 year, September 30, 2024, it's $10 million. We're spending $6 million in our fund balance on this budget. That's money we won't have next year. We're spending. If you look at the total revenue, which is that fourth column, if you go back to the one before we had it last time we did this, that was 40 million.
I do not have that number in front of me.
I've got it in my notes here. And that is now up to a little over 50 million.
Right.
And that has to do with the new appraised value, right?
That would have been some of the increase. That would be the second column, the 27,900.
And then in terms of where we are now with regard to the total budget, total expenditures, it's up to over $62 million, 62.5. And of that, most of that has to do with the funds that we have that we have to budget for the Animal Control Center, and then also the ARPA funds, the unspent communication system, and what we're doing on these recruiting and retaining incentives out of the ARPA funds. And I think even the incentive program for road and bridge is coming out of our ARPA funds now, is that right? And so that's almost 12 million right there.
So if you take those out,
Yes,
so for the one-time expenditures, the expenditures would drop down to about 46.5.
Right.
And then the fund balance would be about 12 million. And so the percent of expenditures in fund balance would be 25.24. And
So the fund balance is actually probably healthier than the 19.6.
yes,
And the guideline is 25%.
Right.
and so moving, this is still a moving target as far as you look at just general funds and your debt service funds and your road and bridge. And if you just put those together, we're at about 23.94%. And so if you were to just take this and go up to the 25%, you'd need about $500,000. And it's going up a little bit from there too. That's as of this projection.
But right now, it's all based on no new revenue.
Well, the
Yeah.
last workshop, it was based on no new tax revenues. That was the rate. That's the 40 million I was talking about. The 50 million in this one includes some new revenues or new value on the tax revenues.
That much difference?
Well, I haven't seen all of it, but that's what this number is. The estimated revenues are at 50 million. And what we're trying to point out, what I'm trying to point out is that the 12 million deficit that you see here, and that's going to be there in the fourth column from the right, 11.766 million.
Yeah.
That represents pretty much the capital projects and ARPA funds that we're working on. So we're closer to, I guess, a constructive balanced budget.
But, well, I mean, the animal control facility is a one-time deal.
Right.
The salaries in ARPA, we may be able to bleed over for one more year, 2024. However, at some point,
Right.
we're gonna have to make, that's gonna hit the general fund.
Right. Yes.
And the things.
Kind of kicking the can down the road there.
And that's why, I mean, I haven't seen the rates, but I think we need to consider a very slight increase in taxes to adjust,
To ramp up.
so we don't, and I won't be here in 2 years, but, so y'all don't have to have a real problem.
Be
In
charged,
theory, the
right.
tax rate should go up a little bit just to cover the animal control shelter.
Well, it will.
That's what the
Right.
voters voted
Now,
on.
that will get, that will.
That's
a
good.
given. Right, that's a
The
given.
debt service on that is probably going to be about a 1 cent tax increase.
Anyway, it's just, we'll figure that out when we see the final numbers, but it's just something.
I mean, we're not talking about tax rates yet, but I can, what I've seen, we're looking at probably 2 or maybe a little more cents per tax.
Right now.
And in 2 years, probably more.
But
So do that again.
To build the reserve a little bit so that we can ease into 2 years down the road.
2 and 3 cents probably this year, and probably 2 to 3 cents next year.
So the new debt on this is about 1 million, is what you would be looking at, with the new debt that we're talking about to pay for the road and bridge equipment this next year in IT and the
Yeah,
boat.
Let me walk through that. I did this with the auditor about this. We looked at what is the cost of these incentives? And yeah, are you gonna get a handout on this or?
I believe it's in your special request, is that right, Wilbur? This is-
Salary increase request,
Yes.
and your salary increase or pay increase tab,
Is there a tab for that?
yes.
Special
Oh.
request.
Special.
Salary increase.
Yeah,
that's okay.
okay.
Salary.
31. Yeah, okay.
No,
Yeah, that's an old one.
that's not it.
That's the old one.
I don't know what's the difference.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
Well-
Special salary increase.
Special. The sheet in mine.
Okay, second page.
It should look like this.
You handed that out to us. didn't you?
No,
it's a
this
survey.
isn't updated. If it got handed up, it should be stapled or hole punched in here.
Does it look like this?
It's this one.
Okay, there it is.
I didn't hear him say that.
This one,
Is that it?
Okay,
It's the
third
third
page,
page.
yeah, third page.
This one?
This
Yes.
doesn't look like that one either.
Third page.
It doesn't.
Third page.
Judge and Commissioner Harris should be
There you
under
go.
salary increase request.
Third page. Sorry.
That's
Thought we
all right.
tried to
There's
put 'em all
nothing
in
wrong
What
with
we're talking
it.
about.
That,
That's not first page, so.
Okay, good.
I choked earlier, I'm fine.
Sorry, I'm choking on this, so.
Well, it's not in mine, but I have it. And just to walk you through it, if you look in that, the first column says emergency responders. That gives us the estimated incentive cost, the 25 estimated payroll cost, the total estimated cost for the emergency responders is $1.524 million. And then if you look down below that, just keep following it down, you'll see the same number at the bottom of that the next box. But if you look over to the right, you're going to see the SB 22 funds, 500,000. Which, if those are applied against the 1.5 million, it reduces the emergency responder funds down to a cost of about just slightly over $1 million. For road and bridge CDLs, go back up and do the same process. You can see that the total cost for that is about $144,000. And then when you come down to the CDL boxes, you can see that everything that we're doing, CDLs and emergency responders, is going to cost about $1.7 million. Right?
yes, and we need to say a caveat because we had a late email in from GrantWorks. And Jody, do you want to explain this? I mean, I can try a little bit. Jody was the one who saw it.
We should
The-
have printed out that email.
The
got it.
team,
Do you have it? Okay.
Of course you would.
Okay.
I lied in the yellow.
So with GrantWorks, what they said as far as those ARPA funds being used towards stipends or the sheriff's department increase, they said you could provide them to workers as retention incentives, as long as they're reasonable increases. So they go on to say, the Treasury presumes that retention incentives that are less than 25% of the rate of base salary for an individual employee is considered reasonable. However, for a group of employees, it's 10% for a group or category of employees are reasonably proportional to the need to retain employees. So I know we're talking about a 20%, I just point out that only 10% of that 20% can come from ARPA funds.
that's what we're asking for clarification for from GrantWorks. So some of this may be moving back to general.
Let me say it again so that everybody understands what we're talking about. The latest word we have from GrantWorks on how we can use our ARPA funds. And there's very limited use of ARPA funds we have, we all know. But for these retention and incentives, they're approved. And for an individual, it can be up to 25%, but for a group, such as first responders, CDLs, the ARPA funds can only be used up to 10% is what is presumed reasonable. So that means to fund the program, we can fund 10 of the 20% with ARPA funds, and the other 10 have to come out of fund balance. General fund.
That would be used for the 500,000 from Senate Bill 22 would factor in that. Also, my understanding is we are working to make the raises fit within our current grade and step. And so until we get the individual's position schedule done, I don't know what this might be. It might not be a full 10%. And We just need time to check that out. Again, we found this out today. So it'd basically be, we'd try to put as much as we possibly could into ARPA, and the rest of it being paid with Senate Bill 22. It sounds like the CDL incentives at 10%, there won't be a question about. However, they will be worked in our salary position schedule, graded step also.
And just, I visited with Rosa on this. We say it's gonna be a 20% increase, it's probably gonna be 18 to 19% because it's compounded, it comes in and into effect, and you're moving up, we have to go 2.5% of the time, and so it's not gonna be an exact 20%. It will be, and same will happen with growth rate. It will be as close as we can get within our secondary system.
Half step at a time.
Half step, but yeah, I'm sure that half steps.
I'm sure Kelly's working on Senate Bill 204. It's gonna get you that big increase for your people, right?
We're talking about Fund 77,
Yes.
Nelson.
77, we've gone back and analyzed where we think fund balance will probably be at the end of this year, and we just made some revisions to that schedule. And so basically it just dropped the expenditures down to about $17,830 instead of $25,000. The majority of that is going to hit the sheriff's office. He had initially requested $23,000. This fund has everyone who receives LEOC money in it, and so there was some confusion over the fund balance and who it belonged to. And these are all funds received from the state, and they can only be used for education, I believe, training. So that's probably a more housekeeping time.
Anything else on Leosin?
What's the acronym stand for?
Law enforcement, what does Leosin stand for? Law enforcement?
Officers,
I'd have to look.
yeah.
Special education?
They don't know either.
Well, I'm pretty sure the LE is law enforcement and the E is education.
Law
Those are probably
enforcement
all
officer standards and education
Supplement, there you
fund.
go.
Could be. That's not.
Law enforcement officer standards and education fund.
Standards in education. Fund 32,
Fund 32, this is a fun one. We're gonna close out this fund at the end of this year. This was the East Kirk County wastewater treatment program. And so all of the money from the TDA grants has been spent. So we zeroed it all out. It was kind of fun.
Amen.
and Fund 37,
Fund 37 is kind of the same way. We've gone in and revised the working grants down to what the current expected income is. If you're looking on the revenue page, I believe it's the first page in Fund 37. Do I need to give y'all a minute to get there? So revenues, we're gonna have 6.6 million, almost 6.7 million. Those are all grants or loan forgiveness at this point. We do have we've had 3 loans with this program. However, 2 loans currently, other than the issuance cost, we have not spent any of those proceeds, so there's still the 4.3 million, and basically the 2 million remaining of that. We do have phone calls into Dusty to see what we would need to do if we think that we're not gonna end up using those funds. We'd be paying those notes back. And so, but that can't be done at this point, because I think there's some talk on, are we gonna do a different project? And we've gotta finish the first project, and so we should have the funds remaining. We're just not quite sure at this point. So your total expenditures for that area is gonna be 6.8 million right now. So some of that will be fund balance that's currently in there. And again, this is more just a grant and where we are right now. And fund that this project is almost completed. And all I did was keep the numbers. Charlie oversaw most of the work, if not all.
Okay. General provisions?
So, there was a couple of things that I did end up changing again, or changing, because we didn't touch on those aspects of it. The first thing is gonna be on page 2, number 7. We had already discussed number 4, but on number 7, since the treasurer's office has taken over the payroll, I changed those out to treasurer's office. On page 3, the same thing. I put the treasurer's office instead of the HR office because they, like I stated, they took over the payroll. So then we go down to the overtime.
Rosa, let's go back to number 4.
Yes.
This is exactly what we talked about doing, that you can give the flexibility to hire someone at a step, up to a step 3 new hire. The problem that, and I didn't think of this, people came to me and told me this, is that we have experienced people that are maybe at step 1 right now, that should have been, under the new policy, would be at 3, but they're stuck at 1. So there's it's going to be difficult for department head elected official to go ahead and hire someone, even though they need to get them at a step 3, when they have other employees that are been here for 1, 2, 3 years.
That would have fit that.
One. That would have fit it originally, but don't now. So all of a sudden you have an experienced employee getting paid less than an inexperienced new employee. So I don't know how you solve that. I'm just bringing it up as a problem.
It is.
Yeah. And, I mean, the option that I don't support is moving everybody up all of a sudden, because we can't afford that. So,
I thought we discussed this, and I don't remember the particulars, but this was, we didn't, obviously we didn't come up with a solution, but it just discussed as a possibility. So, if I was a department head, I'd want to be able to hire somebody at a 1 and advance the other one to a 3, but we've eliminated that possibility. So I don't know now what you do.
Well-
In other words, you take your experienced person, you bump them up, and hire the next one down to one, but we decided we weren't gonna do that anymore, so.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea of this is, like Kelly, because she's sitting here, you have somebody coming out of the military who has a lot of heavy equipment experience,
Yeah.
rather than, you know, take it, bring them in at one, bring them in at three. Total sense, so I think it's a good idea,
They need that flexibility.
but there's no allowance in our policy to have that same person who hired last year to move that person. It's just a problem that I see in the policy. You know, like, I don't know how you fix it with our current budget situation. I'd recommend leave it in the policy,
Yeah.
but maybe in 2 to 3 years it'll start being able to be used.
Right.
I think it would be addressed during the budget year, at the beginning of the budget year, like we're doing now, wouldn't it? They could address it then.
Jamie's saying no.
I would suggest giving us more time to really look and analyze what the effect of that would be. I know it was maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I know the county attorney, HR director, the liaison, and myself sat and looked through a whole bunch of policies at that time, and it was more back in the month of February and March, I believe, and it just gave us time to go in and really analyze what the results of the policies would be.
Yeah. And I think it needs to be looked at. I don't think we have time. I agree with that. We don't have time
Yeah.
right now in the next 2 weeks to figure out this. I think the policy long-term is good, and maybe we can figure out a way to transition into it next year.
Well, hopefully, if they're gonna hire somebody and bring them in at step three, it's very clear that you're really paying for that experience that they have, relative to anybody else who may still be at step one.
Right.
So,
But at least we have the flexibility now.
yeah.
Okay.
So everybody's good with 4?
Yep.
So now we're down to overtime.
Yes, under overtime, I believe I corrected a grammar error on where it said law enforcement. Let's see, on number 2, I had a meeting with one of the elected officials that had the issue with the hours. And before I went to him, my thought was to bring it up to 120 hours. And it equals 3 weeks, okay, of comp time. If a person builds up comp time for 3 weeks, I feel that it's enough time for them to be able to use that up before they use it up during like any kind of FMLA issues or anything like that. So that's why I put the 120. Somebody had said 90 hours, then it was 80. It was at 60 at first, but the way I looked at it, 120 is a more reasonable number to manage. So that's why I used the 120. And like I said, when I sat down with that elected official, he said that he was able to make that work.
That's good.
And I know that there was something else on the number 2, where it said comp time balance exceeding 120 hours, which is already calculated at the 1.5 will be paid at the employee's regular hourly rate. There was a portion of that was left out. This is on the next pay cycle after the overage has been accrued. That gives us a timeline for that accrual. Let's see. And then the next one is gonna be the comp time balance over 120 hours. Must be depleted prior to using any paid time off. And it says, employees request to take time off. I removed something in there because it was kind of making it seem, I removed the word comp time, because it made it seem like the employee was requesting for the elected official to approve the comp time use. And this is basically clearing up that the employee is requesting the time to be used instead of the elected official being able to, or the elected official to say, no, you cannot use the comp time, use your PTO time, or what have you. That way it's clear that the PTO, the comp time should be used first before the PTO. Okay, so, I think, oh, yes, and on the 25th pay period of the fiscal year, any remaining comp time balances will be paid out to zero as an end-of-year task. Just to clear that at the beginning of the new fiscal year, you're going to start out at zero. Okay. Do you have any questions on that?
Looks like Jason wants to say something.
No, I just think we should have the ability to carry over time from fiscal year to fiscal year. If you're having to pay it out to zero, sometimes that can put us in a bind if we get into something big in September.
So there is a statement in here that says elected appointed officials or department heads on a case-by-case basis for employees shall advise the HR and Treasurer's Department of said employee in order for you to carry that over. So that is in there,
It's case by case.
case-by-case basis.
Better? Somebody's gotta be the last one in the gate.
Yeah.
That always happens.
No, as long as we can cover and we don't get into a situation where we accrue a lot of comp time or something at the end of a budget cycle, that then the next thing you know, we're not scrambling to figure out where we're gonna pay it out. So we had a little bit of an issue of that. Miscommunication last fiscal year. We had to pay out some comp time.
And each of the elected officials and directors will get an email from the treasurer's office saying, before that payout period, and asking, do you have any employees who would like to remain?
Okay, so we'll move on to page 4. And on page 4, the first section of that was already approved. I'm going to address the one that says, in order to ensure correct payment, instead of having into the HR department, I put the treasurer's office. Because the timesheets are going to be going to them because they get processed for them.
Rosa, where's the paragraph that gets into, again, I'll use Kelly's people, we're on a 4th of July, and we have a flood, and we get one some year. So Kelly's people have to work, so they get holiday pay plus overtime pay for that day, correct?
Yes, that's actually in the actual handbook itself.
Okay. I didn't see it here, I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on general provisions?
Good job. I mean, these are tedious, but I've learned this is very, very important when it comes to
yeah.
paying people. Exactly how they get paid. It's-
You bet.
And it has a big budget impact. As to which hours they use when.
It's always important to be able to point to something and say, it says right here.
Yep, this is why.
It does help.
Okay, discuss tax rate.
I don't think we can discuss the tax rate at this time. There was an error in the comptroller's worksheet, and so it's taken time for that to get worked out so we can complete the, is it TNT? I can't think of what, truth and taxation schedule. So it will be presented by the tax assessor collector on the 14th of August.
Any more to discuss about elected official salaries? I think we've exhausted that. didn't we?
Yeah.
And then finalize the proposed budget.
So all that I believe is left is working with GrantWorks to finish up the finalization on how much of that can go toward the ARPA grant, and then finishing up the position schedule so that we can get the details into the budget for each individual and add them up per department. Right now, the estimates are what you're seeing in your figures.
So on the 14th, we approve the budget?
No, on the 28th, we approved the budget. On the 14th, you approved the proposed budget.
Okay. Well,
We will be filing whatever we've got at the time on the 10th of August, I believe is when we file it. The budget officer files it with the county clerk. And so it's filed, it will be available on the website just as soon as it can be put up at that point in time. The elected official salaries, I believe, are set to go out like at least the day before that. It'll probably be, we'll try to get it out the next 2 or 3 days, or at least by the 4th, I believe it is, 3rd, somewhere around in there.
I really think probably gotta be tomorrow.
It probably
to do the
has to
5
be
days and
tomorrow.
then the 10-day grievance to be able to publish it, well, to make any changes on the 14th and publish on the 16th.
So we'll work on finishing that up tonight, early tomorrow morning, and get those to Jody so that she can send them out to all the elected officials, and that will start the clock to make that time work. And then on the 14th is the proposed budget, and you'll hear your tax rates to cover the proposed budget. You vote on the budget on the 28th, you vote on the elected official salaries on the 28th, you do that first, and then you vote on the budget, and then and you vote on the proposed tax rate at that point. I know the budget is a voice vote, and then on the 11th of September, I believe it is when the voice vote will be on the tax rate itself.
Well, I think it's a record vote.
Record vote.
That's working.
We have to have a minimum of four members of the board present. There's a record vote for all of those.
So that's where we are.
Anything else? Any other ideas or suggestions on how we might trim the budget?
It'll be hard to do. We could move more of any kind of a wage adjustment if it's for retention into ARPA in case some of the other money has to come back out. Just, you ask, is there anything else that could be done?
But
So-
I mean, technically, the market adjustment is for retention.
Right.
Say that, because if you don't do a market adjustment, lose employees.
Right, well, that was the reason we agreed to it. I mean, they had to have it.
We also could move new hires, the list of new hires y'all approved, those could be paid 100% out of ARPA also. That, I believe there's only 4 positions this year.
Well, whatever we do, we're gonna use the ARPA funds the way GrantWorks instructs us to do it.
Yes.
And we're really just rearranging where the funds are gonna be used, not the fact that they're gonna be used.
Yes,
Problem
But this
comes,
will end up committing all of our ARPA funds by year-end next year.
that is the goal.
And that's, our goal is to get this over with and move on.
right.
Now, on the recruiting and retention program. I don't understand exactly what we're doing, like you say, we're moving them to step and grade rather than the percent that was originally taught. How are we doing that?
So you would ask the complicated part. So what's always been said, what I've always heard is there's 2.5% between each grade that you go up, and there's a 2.5% increase for every step that goes across. In reality, that's not where we're at, and it was discovered. We've been puzzling over this for years. So when the grade and step is determined, you use the wage adjustment on step 1 on grade 14, I believe is our first grade that we use. And you do the wage adjustment on last year's, on that same grade and step. But when you go to do step 2, you're increasing the 0.5% increased amount. You're doing 1.025 on that. So what you're seeing is the cumulative effect of the wage adjustments that have been given for however long. And so in general, the theory is each one does increase by that 2.5%, but there's a creep that's going on in there. Because the same thing happens when you go from one grade up to the next grade. There's also that 2.5% that continues to compound.
I know I visited some with the sheriff and some with the auditor and some with HR that early next year, we need to look at our step and grade. I mean, I think it's too complicated. I've thought that for a while.
Each time we've looked at it, it has become more complicated.
Yeah, I think the hope is to get it simpler and it goes the other direction.
Yeah.
But the sheriff mentioned that he thinks that it may be easier or better or put law enforcement on a different schedule. A lot of counties do that. I think that our system is very complicated. Anyway, I'd like to, I'd be glad to be on it, but I really don't want to be the only commissioner on it because I'm not going to be around that much longer. But I think that we really need to look at our system and have a committee sometime early next year, into this year, to really look at other counties that seem to have a lot simpler. Camden County, I think, has a simpler system. Medina County has a simpler system, and really see how it's possible to move to a simple system.
I like simple, happy to work with you.
Part of the issue is it's manual, and so you've got a grade and step that's manual, and then for every raise, you've got to go into a position schedule, and it's another manual. And we're dealing with 300 plus employees now. So that's what adds to the complexity of it.
Whenever you do a change, there will probably be some employees that are happy, some employees that aren't happy. I mean, it's gotta be, there's always a little bit of an adjustment, and can't make everybody happy all the time, so.
That's the way it is at my house. Well, we looked at wage adjustment stuff. We had professional help on that.
Right.
And I actually was naive enough to think that was gonna help us with this problem. And found out it didn't solve it. It just gets more complicated. Now, I'm watching Kelly while it's being described, and she's sitting there nodding. She knows the system. Maybe I'll get you to explain it to
Well,
me.
well, I will tell you,
Boxing
it's a
match.
very hard system to explain to your
Yeah.
employees. And probably about the time that we change it, I will finally have gotten it through to each employee because I'm getting close. But I do agree that it is difficult, and I agree with the statement of you gotta start somewhere, and there are gonna be some people they're gonna feel like they're getting ripped off or whatever it may be, and some that will be okay with it. I think in the long run, having something that is easier for an employee to understand, it keeps an employee sometimes from thinking like the county is ripping them off too, because I've had that also. So I understand how it works, but it has taken me a very, very long time. And so every time I do any of the new type of adjustments that we have, it's a one-on-one with that employee, and I always give them that current step and grade sheet and show them where they currently are, and this is where you will be, and then I explain each column. Some I see the light finally, go on, and others I can still see the blank stare, but they're happy they're getting more money. But I've got more that understand it now than I ever have, but that has taken a lot of individual one-on-one time to try to explain it. So if it probably was something similar, I think it would probably take a lot of headaches out of department heads and elected officials, and probably especially HR. Like I said, sometimes people thinking that they're not being paid correctly when they are. So I like simple, but I have no problem with the step and grade, but I like simple. Especially when you have a large department.
Anything else? No? Okay. We are adjourned.